Well, hello again. I was doing a video earlier on construction of the Golden Gate Bridge, and this will funnel into mud floods and the official narrative of history, especially the buildings. And I'm not gonna I'm not gonna get into all of the why it is. No, maybe I will. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll get into the why it is absolutely impossible for some of these things to be built. But I mostly want people to look for yourself. Find anything that was built prior to 1940, big structures. Now we've had cameras for a long time, and you'd assume that you would take a bunch, like just lots of pictures of you watching this giant, beautiful whatever, a bridge, um, mansions. What you're going to find is you're going to find pictures of scaffolding, just scaffolding around a nearly complete, a completed or nearly completed building. And when I say nearly completed, sometimes there's a way to Photoshop these things even then. But most of it is just a rickety ass scaffolding around the building, which, if you know anything about building, the outside would have already been done before you're working. Like there's a whole, it's a prop, it's a set, it's a setup, it's bullshit. I mean, that's just my feelings and opinion on it. But really, start to look at anything, and I'm sorry for saying I think it's bullshit because I don't want to sway your opinion or your belief or what you think. Start looking at anything, especially right around 1933. If you go from 1888 to 1933, find yourself any gigantic structure that you can think of, giant palaces, a bridge. And now what brought me to this video was this. I should have probably preempted this with this idea. Someone said they commented on one of my videos and I couldn't tell. Like at first I thought they were saying, well, no, what you're talking about is silly. And then I got into talking. They're like, well, I have more questions than I do have answers, I guess. I was like, cool. And he says, but the Hoover Dam, there's plenty of evidence of that being built. And it was supposedly built in right around 1933. 1931 to 36, it said. Who's that, Eisenhower or FDR or whatever? Yeah. So I started looking for pictures because he said you can find pictures. And what I found was no pictures of it really being built. I found pictures of what appeared to be before it was being built, and I found pictures of what it appeared to be scaffolding on it after it was completed. And then a couple of random photos, but it showed nothing. It was basically just before and after. There was no, here's the work being done. Where are those in any of these buildings? If you're watching such a major undertaking occurring, you don't just before and after photos. You show the process of how it's done. People was, oh, I'm curious, how was that big monstrosity built? How was that done? Wouldn't you like to show future generations, like, hey, here's how we created this awesome architecture, this building, this bridge? I'm willing to bet that anything that's significantly large, that's significantly just awe to look at, like, wow, look at that. You're not going to find any pictures of it being built. Which is really, it's not impossible, but it's highly improbable that no one would take a picture of it being erected, the whole thing going up. But you don't find these. All you find is scaffolding or something. It's rickety. I mean, the farther back you go, like we're saying right around late 1800s, photography, you're only taking pictures of one part of this. You got this whole new technology. They're building these things. They got horse and buggy. They got a when, it's like, how did you, because people are going, how was that built? Oh, they just accept it. Well, today you might be able to build some of these things, but not really. Just the numbers never add up. There's not enough skilled craftsmen. There's not enough. The industries that make the things aren't there. Every aspect to it, every aspect of these giant monstrosities, these buildings and bridges and dams, and look at when they're built. You'll find no construction photos. After that, you can go watch a building. You could walk down the street and watch something get put up, and it's not going to look anywhere near as great as some of these gigantic buildings that always were like the post offices that how many stamps, if I may use John Lee Buzz, how many stamps did these people have to be selling to put up what was post offices in the late 1800s? The Boston one it's an amazing piece of architecture. How much post officing can you do? Like, what is there to do in the post office in 1888? You got a few pieces of mail. I mean, consider this ridiculous idea. This is just a little bit of like, well, this doesn't really have anything to do with what you're saying, but it does. It does so much. Like, for you to be able to finance that, even if you are the government, you want to make a building because you got all the money because you're the government. Even that's a whole nother thing. But what is a post office's? What do you do? Go down your street. Go to your post office today. Go do it. Go walk down there. How big is it? This is 2019, and that's big enough. And it's cut and dry, cut and paste. And the commerce and economy and things that are going on today, by a multitude of 50 times more things going on, at least, if not hundreds of times more mail. Probably, I'm going to say thousands of times more mail and packages being sent. That's for certain, because there's many more industries and things to be sent, and everything's going on. In 1888, you needed a 6-story building that was hundreds of thousands of square feet for some stamps and packages. That you could afford to do that in just about every city. That right there should just, somebody just go, huh. Now if you just gloss over that, you have, like, I'm not gonna say you don't have a brain or you don't have a soul or you're a non-thinker. I'm not gonna say that, but there's something, there's something very, like, that you can't. I'm not even asking. This isn't even a critical thinking process. This is how many? Let's do the math. If Sally had 5 apples, and then this building, Sally sells 5 apples, and she has a mansion. How did she pay for that mansion? That's literally what I'm saying. That's the math. That's how easy. Sally took 5 apples off the tree, sold them for a nickel apiece. Now she has a 100,000 square foot mansion. Because that's literally what we're saying when we look at these old buildings. We're not going to get into the mud floodiness of them. We're not going to get into all of that. We're just going to just consider the structure itself. How was it put up? And I'm going to go back to this one again because I think it's just, I'm going to really just, I'm going to massage this in here for you guys. How many stamps? How much mail needed to be moved? And what is the purpose of a mail delivery service? So think about this. You have, look at the Wild West, right? You see this 8 by, or 10 by 12 it's the Pony Express, right? They got a pony. You need a package delivered across town. We're talking about 1888. Ain't too much more going on. I mean, there's some cities going on, I guess. So you got these little pony, but then in the city there's this. How many people would be working in there? Hundreds of thousands of square feet. Hundreds of windows. What is there to be done in a post office? Where's your package going? Write that down. Oh, you do that. Write that down. Who's it come from? And here's a stamp. Put that right on there. That'll be a nickel. Thank you. And even then, it was probably a penny for a stamp, huh? Penny. Put it on there. Okay. And we'll go ahead and have our horse and buggy. This is 18. This is there's no vehicles going on right now. There are some that, but they're not really being used. Not like so. Okay, we'll take that across town or over there for you. But because if it's in town, you're going to deliver the package yourself. This is going to go to another city. So now a few people are going to go to this. But how at 1888 had they accumulated enough wealth to then hire what would take hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of very skilled architects, or I don't want to say architects, let's say it's going to take a few skilled architects and thousands of people that are brilliant at being building, at doing like hands-on craftsmen. I'm talking about very high-level craftsmen. And that would be for one building that was also being built at the same time as a bunch of other buildings. So you'd have to have tens of thousands of highly skilled craftsmen. And let's just, before we get into all that, because they need to be fed and we need to, we need all of the other industries that are going to support that. So then we're talking about lots more people making all the stuff that's going to go into making these buildings. The numbers are never going to add up. It's never. How did that building get erected from a few, people on horseback taking packages across town for somebody to make and what would that building, what would you be doing in there? What could anybody be doing in that building? It's now take it a step further. If that doesn't even make sense, how many other buildings? Okay, just walk through this with me. Walk through this. It's very simple. How many industries are required to support the industry of building one giant building? You need the glass company. You need the wood for whatever that is. So you can have people timbering wood. You're gonna have to transport all these. Remember, you got to transport everything that I'm talking about. You need to transport it. And remember, you have just horses and some wooden carriages and some steel, maybe wheels, and the roads aren't done. Got to transport this across. So you can transport, and you're gonna have the mining companies for all of the different types of stones that you're gonna be using. And you're gonna have to have the companies that have lathes. When they're not using too much electricity there, are they? So how are they getting that lathe going to create whatever there's lots of things going on in that building. Now you've got to have, they were painting. So you got to have the people in the paint companies. That's, okay. Okay, and you got to have the brick, you got the masonry. So you got to have the bricks for the different buildings. So you have brick companies, glass companies, windows. So where they, making glass is that's a whole task unto itself. And then you're going to need, let's see, what else is going on in a building? Well, were they hammering things together? I mean, you'd have to have the people that were making the hammers. You have to have the nails. They didn't have powerful screw guns. Saws. Got to have the company that makes saws. These are all different things. These are going into it. There's more people, more skilled craftsmen. Still, we ain't even to the people doing the building itself. And all of these people, once again, they need to be fed. They need to eat. So now we need the baker. We need whoever's butchering the meat. People are eating meat then, I'm sure. You got to have the people that are going to be cooking all that and transporting it too. And I don't think there was any coolers back then. I don't think there was any freezers. So we got to take that in consideration too, because things are going to spoil quicker. Let's go back to building. You gotta have the people that know how to build the scaffolding so they can get the heavy things up there so that they can support the weight of getting things up flights and flights of stairs. And doing a really fancy staircase, which is in most of these. You know how difficult building a staircase is? Like a simple little, but a really fancy, curved, and it just for it to, you gotta hold it, and then just there's so much to that. It's no one wants to build a really fancy staircase because there's just too much to it. The railing, to keep the railing in there, And so you got to have the people that are making that, making the spindles, the railing. Um, wow, the people that are going to put all the fancy stuff, put their little crown molding stuff that's going on the ceiling with the grommets and all of. I mean, the ceilings are fucking fantastical. How are they getting up there? And they're going to be doing, man, were they doing? They didn't have drywall. They were using plaster. So, oh, there's another business right there. You got to find the plaster company. And so now let's get back to plaster companies. They need a bunch of tools to get the plaster. The masons for the brickwork had to make tools, so they needed tool makers. So we're talking just to build one building. We have to have so many industries in place, and so many people that are of such a high level of capacity to build things with their hands. Yet they couldn't figure out how to build anything better than a covered wagon with wood, and there's no springs, no shocks, really, just steel wrapped around some wooden spindles. That's getting this whole thing built. Well, if someone were to listen to everything I just said that had no clue about architecture and mud floods, they would still go, yeah, that does make a lot of sense. So how does that really happen? And then if they were to go like look at the official narrative on this, they would have to read like thousands of pages and thousands of books of, co-opted nonsense. That these things could not have occurred in the time and space that they did, especially when they tell you how long these things took to build. Because you got to remember, you gotta rewind, put yourself above the whole thing. Rewind your mind back to remember when you were a kid and you didn't have the phone. Okay, we didn't have cell phones back then, so you couldn't just be like, hey, can we get another load of shit over here? Now you'd have to. There's a whole thing to get another whatever. And don't forget about digging out them basements. Gotta remove all of the basement, and then you gotta pour the concrete up. How many horses would have taken really to move everything, in such a short period of time? There's no lights going on at night. They're not working at night. There's no way. So you gotta get rid of nights you're not working at the night. If it's raining, there's no working. That day is cut out. So now look into here. Let me take it one step further. Show you the ridiculousness, the absurdity. If you look into the history of whatever city, and go look at the number of days and the average rainfall. There's certain things that you can't even do on a house if it was raining that day. So let's just go ahead and knock those rainy days out. Unless, I get it, when you're inside the building, it doesn't matter if it's raining. Except for it kind of does during that time, because it would be so sloppy and muddy out that you don't want to be doing, all this wonderful tile work. Now don't worry about that. We got to have the tile quarries. But, rewind to that time. How many days, how many hours could you, you have a total, if you worked your ass off and put 12 hours a day in. Now, see, that's even bad math, because it depends on the time of year. In Boston, when it's cold, who's working outside when it's freezing? Now there's a few more questions we have here. See? You're not going to be working in the cold in Boston in 1888. You don't got space heaters. It's icy. It's snowing. So now we got rain days and we got snow days. Man, how many hours in a day? Because 12 hours in a day might be too much. Because now you've got to think of, when does the sun go down? Because as soon as the sun goes down, you can't work. There's no, people gonna be out here with like little fires? Okay, maybe, but what are you gonna argue for a couple extra hours? You're still not getting away from the snow days, and you're still not getting away from the rain days. So now you got rain days, snow days. How many days a year could somebody really be working on the outside of a building in 1888? Numbers are starting to get really, really beyond impossible to make up for the amount of time that it takes to build these buildings, the amount of people that you would need, the amount of materials, the amount of industries that you've already needed in place. None of it lines up at all in any way. I mean, how many more things need to be explained? Depending on what city you're in, let's just stay in the Northeast. Look at the size of these buildings. Look at what the buildings were presented to be doing. Why do they all look this? Why do they look similar and they're all just like ornate? Yet one, they're for the most silly of things. How many people could fit in these buildings? You had that many people licking stamps. You had that many people doing all of this other inane, like just whatever work, office work. There wasn't a lot of office work to be done in the late 1800s. There wasn't like all the paperwork and stuff. That didn't come till later. So you basically just have what? What are all the office buildings for? What's all the extra space for? They're just like, hey, it's 8 o'clock on a Monday. Gotta go to. Hey, Becky, I gotta go to work today. 8 o'clock. Go to the office. What are you doing in 18 in the what are you doing? It seems like the only thing that would have been going on is maybe building things like, hey, let's and those things you can see the little, and they're always crappy little like, shanties and like the inside of there. Here, let's look at the places that were supposedly the I guess cottage industries. Look at those, like where, yeah, they're just scrapping things together. Like that was, but that somehow built this. I mean, it's like when you look at this and really do the math on it, it's so far beyond impossible. Mm. And as I'm just kind of overviewing and reviewing this idea, um, when you get to that conclusion, like your mind will break because you'd be like, well, what the fuck happened then? Like if you really accepted it, if you really accepted what I'm saying, because what I'm saying is you can do the math on it. I've given you the math. You could probably add some more questions to what I just said and do it to the math homework, and you're gonna come out with this equation that is absolutely impossible. And then your brain will go, well, what the fuck was really going on then? Like, where did those buildings come from? You would have to logically, the logical next step will, well, then where did the buildings come from? They were already there. And then you'd be like, well, if they're already there, then, why? How? And who stepped into those buildings? And who claimed ownership over them? Abandoned property rights? Then you'd have to ask yourself, why was the property abandoned? Then you have to go into like, why would they? Okay, then you'd have to look in architecture and be like, well, why are the windows below ground? That doesn't make any sense. Now you have to ask yourself a whole series of questions. It's a rabbit hole. But it's not really a rabbit hole. It's just it's something fun to look into, but it also delivers you some. Well, it might not tell you the correct answer, but it will tell you what is the incorrect answer. And knowing what is the incorrect answer is very, very helpful to people. Like knowing that, well, what your books are telling you, and you know, I'm not saying that the book and the people teaching it know what I'm saying. They don't know what I'm saying because they've never heard me, and they've never heard the people that have, because this is new research, because we're like, man, those books, like, we're not saying the teachers are like out there going, I know this is false and let's trick the children. No, they've been tricked too. But we're sitting here going, we're unraveling it. We're just going, no, 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 that's impossible. Nope, doesn't work. Can't work. Nope, doesn't work that way. No, no, don't accept it. It's not. It's show me, show me the pictures. Oh wait, those two of one the thing when the before and after. That's ridiculous. Half of them you can show that are photoshopped via the old how they used to plate on top of each other. But anyways. I'll see if anybody's up in here as I'm ranting about this shit. Uh-oh. I wonder if your comments got cut off there. St. Laura's up in here. Ellie and David Mannion. Is that who's in here right now? Yeah, and there's a few others, I suppose. Well, whoever's in here, if you have any more questions or an idea that I'm missing here, so I can add to the to the in the inferno, the fury, the flames of my mind of going, there's more like more pieces to this. Am I missing things? I mean, certainly I'm missing a lot to this. There's more I could explain about like all of the other different businesses. I mean, you can mathematically figure this out. It's it's not, you know. I think it was somebody said Salt Lake City is one of the easiest ones to like decode and just go, this is ridiculous. But supposedly it got settled by, you know, the Mormons in a very whatever year that was. I forget what it was. But then within like not even 2 generations, it was just huge, and there's all of these buildings everywhere. And it's really like it's impossible. It's like couldn't be done unless somebody was using very high level of magic and doing let's create a building. Yeah, I don't discount that that's a possibility, but most people won't say magic like that exists. I'm just saying the shit was already there. And I think that will take people onto discovery of different civilizations, and I wouldn't call it an alternative history. What I would call it is a more streamlined history of what's been going on. This is so good. You put the lime in the coconut. Put the lime in the coconut water. That it's good breakfast. I don't know if the chat shut off on because I can't move it on my end. It's kind of stuck here, so maybe that's what happened. So if you guys, can somebody let me know if you can still hear me or if you're still commenting, because it's not letting me see comments beyond. I got David Mannion's is the last comment I got, which is "What up, brother?" Send somebody say something right now to let me know that you can hear me or that you guys are still capable. Okay, Leon, you still here? Cool. Okay, everybody, just shut the fuck up. Merp merp. You're merp, motherfucker. But you know what the funniest shit is? Whenever I wear this hat or say something like even slightly intelligent, and I'm wearing this hat, somebody's like, "Look at this fucking retard! Look at this Down syndrome having." And I'm not making fun of Down syndrome people, by the way, because I might have a little touch of the Downy. Uh, Look at this! Look at this autistic. You know, like that's probably what people going through people's head when I'm wearing this. Let's chilly in here. This is my nightcap, man. This is why I like this. This shit is fucking wicked, yo. This shit is fucking ill, yo. Sorry you ain't a style like me. Don't make fun. Don't make fun because you can't rock what I can rock. Come on. Look at this dude. Look at this dude just talking about mud floods. Oh. When I was a child with no humor and no capability of using advanced thinking, I probably would have done the same thing. Yeah. Do I have the jumper to match? No, I don't. I've never worn one of those things. Isn't that like the onesies, the onesie jumper? You know that onesie thing that cats be wearing these days. I think it was only like one season. I think it was like the fad was so quick here and there. It was like it was here and then gone. The dudes were wearing onesies. Ah, L.A. Jacobo. Nice. I put the lime in the coconut. Lots of lime juice. Usually in the morning you drink warm lime juice and it helps to clean out your system. And I decided I wanted a little bit of the coconut water. Cause I've been fasting, and so I got a little bit of I didn't hydrate myself enough last night because while I've been fasting, and this is a lesson for everybody, I was also doing a lot of enemas, and enemas will, you know, so I was using diuretics and enemas and fasting. So I was just moving things out of my body, and you lose a lot of water. And I didn't drink enough water before bed, so I got a little cramp in my leg. So let me flush a little coconut water into my system. Yeah. Leo does. What you mean you've been slowing? You've been slowing down? Oh, you've been slowing. Yeah, I went real slow for a minute. I was like but I'm gonna be in a weird fast slow mode here because it's Mardi Gras. And speaking of Mardi Gras, you guys about to see you guys about to get to see you're gonna get some special events. Um, hopefully there'll be two people that you know that you've never seen that me and those peoples will be doing live shows from down here. Um, y'all know who one of them is. The other one you don't know who that is, but I mean you know who he is, but you just don't know that he's coming. And when he gets down here, we'll do some live shows, and then we'll see. Then we'll get we'll get retarded. What's up, Button Hero? It is all good. We've been just shooting the shit about the size of buildings and mud floods, and we didn't really get into like the idea of Tatari, but then even that, I've been getting into the bigger game of the realm dynamics of the different root races and subroot races, and how that plays into what we see as even architecture, and where some of these buildings might have come from, because they might be even older than that, like older than, like some people are like, oh, maybe they're like from 1600s, like no, maybe they're from like way before that. And so all that's been happening is little fixes here and there for like maybe thousands and thousands of years. It's really, you know marble ain't going nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, if you make concrete gets stronger. Concrete isn't fully cured for about 7 years. Like it's good to stand on after like what 48 hours. After a week, it's solid, but it's not even close to cured. But it will continually become stronger and stronger. And especially if you back then knew what was going on using hemp and lime and a few other materials, you could build something that would only become stronger. So, um, yeah, so I think there's some interesting things about these empires. And the last video I was making, I was talking about, I was all over the map because I just woken up and I was trying to mush a bunch of ideas together. But there's some interesting things about the cosmic clock, and whether it's a clock or a pendulum, and the different ways because I've studied this, and the stalking the wild pendulum, Itzhak Bentov, Itzhakbentov, Itzhak Bentov, and stalking the wild pendulum, and Walter Russell's work, and this idea of the clock. And if we spin the clock the other day, the ages work differently. The ages would work from gold to silver to bronze to iron. Now, I've heard a lot of people speak about that as some of these civilizations developed, they were actually going from gold and drop down to silver, and then drop down to bronze, and then drop down to iron, because basically my perception is, this is just spitballing here, but is these empires decayed, like they started falling apart, where that would be the time would be going that would be going counterclockwise. Now, going clockwise, you would start with the Iron Age, and you'd build to the silver, or then you'd build to the bronze, and then to the silver, and to the gold, and then you'd enjoy the golden age, and then to be some sort of catastrophe, and that would go from gold to iron, just cataclysm. And that's most of my research has been in there, but I've been seeing this thing where I'm thinking what's happened is for one point in time, everything was going that way, and then there was a magnetic reversal, or a pole shift, or the sun started going in the other direction, because people talk about this. So it used to be where there was a decaying happening from gold to silver to, I think then it hit a place, and it basically, like, if you put a pendulum, it goes to here, stops, It never really stops, but then swings back the other way. Now, if we do that, if we take that pendulum and we put that up, like link it up with the clock, and as soon as the pendulum gets to here, the clock just goes, and then just turns back time, and it's not like it's just now it's just rewinding it. Or you could do this on different realms. You could be having clock inside of clock, and one could be going forward, one could be going backwards, because who's in control of that? So I think that's really interesting, considering so many people's history has said that it was going, that there was a decay or a slow decline in society, and others say there was actually, it was that way. And I think there's something really interesting about astrology and um, the rise and fall of empires. Am I getting dragged up like a queen? Leo, no, no, sir. I don't do that. I'm gonna dress just like I do always. I don't. I always dress like a king. I always got my robe on. I go out there in my, I go out there in my gold. I mean, I might get dressed up. I might put an Indian headdress on one day. We'll see. I know some people that do costume design work, and maybe I'll get a headdress. Um, I mean, I'm sure she's mad busy, but I think she's got a couple. She probably got a couple in storage that she'd loan me. Um, but no, I kind of just like to. I kind of just walk the streets and you know watch the shit show, man. It's a lot of fun. Put the lime in the coconut, yeah. Topless girls. See, Ellie Jacobo. I think that's a misnomer. That really doesn't happen where most of the partying is happening, because the the that kind of party is Bourbon Street. Bourbon Street is just that's the real deal, amateur hour shit show. Like, it's insane, especially around major holidays. It's like there's vomit, drunk, just it's a mess. It's basically just okay. It's everybody. It's a free for all, and like just don't kill anybody and everything's fine. That's it's like that. But the rest of the city is kind of like, it's a little more family friendly because most of the parades are during the day. I mean, everybody's out just shitty drunk, but um, yeah, the streets are all closed off. We just walking around with beers and kids playing and whatever. It's awesome. Uh, but yeah, the topless chicks that's a late night, and that's certain areas. But that's, yeah, those are the goofy ones. Getting the bead, but getting the beads though, that's everybody gets beads, man. Get beads, yo. Beads on beads on beads. I think we've been devolving for years. Yeah, yeah, Leo, I hear you on that. I hear you on the devolving thing. I think, but I think that's the. I think when I was talking about there's a clock going this way, I think some people are evolving and some are devolving. I think there's multiple clocks being run. I think everyone runs on their own track, and the population will just. I think one's going to spin if you use with the torus fields. One's going to internally spin and one's going to externally spin. The ones that are unwinding are going to go out of realm and go into another Iron Age, and the one that are internally spinning will either stay. Well, then you have the kind of neutrals that will stay here and just enjoy the ride into the next age, which is Age of Aquarius, which is our Bronze Age, and then there'll be people that will step in a realm, which is where the Aryans are, or maybe just go all the way up to Polaris. But let me see my bet. All right, yeah, I gotta tell you, I'll let this go until my phone shuts. But I don't have much power left, y'all. I do apologize because this has been fun, but I don't have any charge on my phone. I got like 9%, so I'll give you to like 5%. Button here. Have you come across the children appearing from the egg? That's why it's such a fascinating. Yeah, I think there's something like the ostrich. Thank you. Hey, Buttonless, thank you for bringing that up there. I will do a little research on that because I've been playing with a lot of the Aesop's fables and fairy tales because I can decode a lot of them. And maybe I'll do a whole video on it. I was thinking, if somebody wanted to write a book on it, I'll tell you what, I'll just co-author it with you. but we could decode all of the fairy tales and obviously all of the Disney books. And I can decode them in two ways, like from an astrotheological way and from a body way, like how it works internally. So, anyways, that's really interesting. The stork egg thing is very interesting. Now you got me on another kick. So how about this? I'll plug this phone in. I'm gonna do a quick little bit of research, and I'm gonna jump on my computer, and I'll come back on here, and maybe because I'm so good at this shit, for whatever reason, maybe I'll be able to give you an answer. Well, not you an answer, but not even an answer, but we can evaluate this a little further because I like that. We'll get into the cosmic egg, the egg theory, the stork thing, and I'll go deeper on the clock, and how I think the spirals are working. So what do you think? We'll do that. My phone's almost dead. Yeah, Jack Green. It's good to see you, man. I don't know if you just got here. Sorry, but I gotta shut this off because my phone is almost dead. But I'm gonna get on another. I'm gonna give me like 10, give me like 25 minutes, and I'll get on and I'll do another video from my computer. So we'll talk soon, everybody. Stay cool. And if you didn't see the beginning of the video, Jack Green, check it out. I think it was